Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here's my profile and media feed on Millions. So now we get into week 11. We are at the end of week 11 in the NFL. There were a lot of good games, a lot of entertaining games. Our first game that started off week 11 was the Jets and the Patriots. The Jets are not really a good team. The Patriots, they did what they were supposed to do. And as of right now, the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos are tied for the best record in the AFC. So New England, Drake May, 24-35, 281 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Drake May looked pretty good. Now, everybody is saying, are the Patriots legit? Yes, I do believe so that they are legit because they've beaten the Bills and the Buccaneers, both playoff teams that are going to make it to the playoffs. Now, once we get to their final, the final of their schedule, final 3 weeks of their schedule for the Patriots are Baltimore. That is going to be a tough one. New York, and then they have two layups, New York and Miami. But they have Buffalo. Now, they already beaten Buffalo, so we already know that Buffalo, they have some deficiencies on offense, but I believe the Patriots are going to be able to keep control of the AFC East and win the division. So, New England Patriots, they did what they were supposed to do. As far as the New York Jets, I believe Aaron Glenn, everybody needs to give him at least the same amount of time that the Detroit Lions gave Dan Campbell. If they give him that, more than likely hopefully, the Jets will be a playoff contender. But this is the Jets we are talking about. So the Jets, they haven't been relevant in quite a while. So for team statistics for this game, this is pretty much a division game that really didn't show you any flashes. It was just the Patriots, doing what they need to do and just getting out of there with a win. Third down efficiency for the Jets, 8 of 14. Third down efficiency for the Patriots, 6 of 12. Total plays, 62 to 57. Total yards, 336 to 245. When it comes to the Jets quarterback situation, we just heard yesterday that as far as quarterback position, Tyrod Taylor will start this coming week, and Justin Fields will be on the bench. That is something that the Jets are gonna have to get taken care of when it comes to their quarterback position because you can't keep going back and forth with two quarterbacks. If you have a two quarterback system, you don't have a reliable quarterback. That's all. Because going into a season, you need to have a true quarterback one. And the Jets don't have a true quarterback one. That's why some weeks it's Justin Fields, other weeks it's Tyrod Taylor. Some weeks it could be both of them. 1-2 quarters here for Tyrod Taylor, and maybe a third or the fourth quarter for Justin Fields. But for the Jets, they have so much work to do. They not going anywhere this season, and that was pretty much evident after week 4. After week 4. The next game I'm going to cover is the Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. Washington Commanders season has been done. It was over once Jaden Daniels suffered injury. Now the Commanders are 3-8, and You had a one-off. I'm going to say that. The Commanders had a one-off last year, getting all the way to the NFC Championship game, getting their doors blown off by the Eagles. And then this year you follow it up with a 3-8 start to the season. And Marcus Mariota, he's just doing what he does in mop-up duty now. Commanders, they had a chance at winning this game, but Marcus Mariota, he threw an interception, and that proved costly. And the Miami Dolphins, the last 4 games, they won 3 of their last 4, and their remaining schedule shapes up pretty good. Could they make a run to the playoffs? Because when you look at it, they are going to be on a bye week this week, but after the bye week, they have New Orleans Saints, could possibly be a win there. The Jets, another win. The Pittsburgh Steelers, you could probably going to have a tough game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincinnati, maybe a win there. Tampa, that is going to be tough. And New England going into Foxborough, so that is going to be tough there. So they may have a chance at making the playoffs, but I would say their remaining schedule outside of the New Orleans Saints and New York Jets is tough. There are a lot of teams on the schedule for the Dolphins that will be playing spoiler for them. So the next game I'm going to cover, first off, here is team statistics from the game, and this was pretty much a bad game for both offenses, and I mean that both defenses really haven't done much all season. So why would we expect the defenses to do something now? Now, do I think that Mike McDaniel will keep his job? It all remains to be seen. I mean, for the Dolphins to win 3 of their last 4 games, before that, it seemed like the season, they had just packed it in. Everybody packed it in for the season. So maybe he comes back. And Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, said that he will remain head coach at least for the end of the season. So he still might be gone, but we all know that they are going to do reassessments at the end of the season before the offseason kicks off. The next game I am going to cover is the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Bryce Young, most of his career wins have came against the Falcons. I don't know what it is about the Falcons, but 10 of his 11 career wins have came against the Falcons. Bryce Young, 31 of 45, 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had a career high in passing yards, and that's good. That's great. That is great because I have been a supporter of Bryce Young. I did not like what the Carolina Panthers did to him in the past, but now he is obviously your franchise QB. Now, one thing they have given him a complimentary running back. They have a defense, and I'm going to tell y'all that before the season, I had the Panthers as one of my dark horse teams to make it to the playoffs, and they still have a chance. They are 6-5 right now. 6-5, and the Atlanta Falcons, they can just start packing it in and getting ready for the draft. Now, everybody in the Falcons fans, they're calling for Raheem Morris' job. It's only been 2 years, but I know that if you have a coach that is underperforming significantly at his head coaching spot, the owner, he'll have no choice but to fire his head coach, to fire the head coach. Now, I believe going into next season will be a make or break season for Raheem Morris. Now, I'm not gonna put him on the high. I'm not gonna put him on the chopping block now, but after the draft and everything like that, then going into next season, he is gonna be on the chopping block no matter what. On the chopping block going into the season. And for the Panthers, they are. I'm happy for the Panthers right now because their games are watchable now. It's worth watching. I'm happy to see Bryce Young throwing for this many yards, this many touchdowns, and the Panthers actually winning, showing that they are a competent NFL franchise because last year and the 3 seasons before that, they were dumpster juice. Bottom half of the league. They were the worst team in the league for 3 years. By default. And I do mean that by default because we all know that the Browns are the worst in the league, but the Panthers, for a time there, they were the worst. So the next game I am going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo in this situation. Josh Allen, 19 of 30, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The interceptions are starting to become more frequent, but the Bills, they kind of getting away with all of these turnovers. Now, the Bills, I'm going to say fortunately enough, the Bills special teams, they put the offense on a short field most of the game. So the Bills were able to score touchdowns. Now, as far as the Buccaneers, I'm going to tell y'all something. The Buccaneers started off the season 5-1. 5-1. And now, all of a sudden, in their last 5 games, they are 1-4. Is the early season hype for the Buccaneers out the window? Now, they are still in playoff contention. They are. And as for that, I'm going to pull up the NFL playoff picture right now so you can all get a glimpse of what the playoff picture looks like right now. As everybody can see, the playoff picture, current playoff picture, the Buccaneers are 4th in the playoffs right now. And the Bills are 5th in the AFC playoff picture right now. So this pretty much had a big effect on the playoff seeding, but I expected the Bills to do this. I expected the Bills to win, but one thing I got to say about the Bills is, from what I heard with their wide receiver Keon Coleman, not playing him, that had a lot of deficiencies for the Buffalo Bills offense. It did, because you had Dalton Kincaid injured. Khalil Shakir, he is the only liable threat that is out there. And Malik Steers, he is obviously a player that the Bills don't go too much, but when they need him, he's always there. So that is another guy that people have to game plan for, because the Buffalo Bills, let me tell y'all something. Buffalo Bills, they always have backup tight ends and backup wide receivers that can determine the outcome of a game. And we getting to that point in the season where, like I said, this is week 11. Week 12 is right around the corner. We starting to talk about separation when it comes to playoff teams and pretenders. That's what we are talking about now. Now, both of these teams right here that I'm talking about, the Buccaneers and the Bills, they are playoff teams. The next game I'm going to cover is the Texans, Houston Texans, and the Tennessee Titans. I am not going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to just talk about the Texans. Davis Mills, 26 of 41, 274 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. The Titans, worst team, well, one of the worst teams in the NFL. They haven't had nothing going for them all season. And when it comes to the Texans, they are 5-5. They have an outside chance of making the playoffs right now. The Texans are on the bubble. If the playoffs start today, the Texans would not make it. The Chiefs would not make it. The Ravens would not make it. So now, one thing for the Texans, I believe the Texans, they have to win out and hope that the Jaguars lose a couple games, the Chargers lose a couple games, and they also have to hope that the Chiefs and Ravens lose a couple games, because all three teams are 5-5. But that is easier said than done. I believe that out of these remaining three teams, Texans, Chiefs, and Ravens, I believe that the Chiefs would have the better chance of making the playoffs, because the Chargers ain't looking too good. They just got dominated by the Jaguars, and I'm going to get into that later on in the show. But as of right now, when it comes to the Texans offense is still pedestrian. I don't trust it, but congratulations on the win. The next game I'm going to cover is the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Don't look now, everybody, but the Chicago Bears are 7-3 and have the best record in the NFC North. I had the Chicago Bears as one of my dark horse teams to make the playoffs. Caleb Williams, 16 of 32, 193 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. J.J. McCarthy, 16 of 32, 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Now, one thing I'm gonna say about the Bears is I'm gonna let y'all see their schedule. When we see the Bears schedule, and when it comes to them being a legitimate playoff contender, just don't see it. Even though that I said that they would make it to the playoffs, look at this. They beat Minnesota Sunday, lost to Minnesota week 1, lost to Detroit the second week. Then they go on a 4-game winning streak, lose to Baltimore. Now they are on a 3-game winning streak, and they face Pittsburgh this coming Sunday. And then you have Philadelphia. Green Bay can be had. You have Cleveland. You got Green Bay again twice in 3 weeks. San Francisco. And then you have the Detroit Lions again. Now, when we look at the standings for the Chicago Bears, they are the number 3 team currently in the NFC playoff picture right now. Then you get to the point where all of these other teams that are behind the Bears, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Packers, the 49ers, all of them have a half game, or either have the same identical record or are a half game behind the Bears. So this playoff stretch is going to shake up. It is going to shake up, and it says this if the season would end today, but will this be the final playoff bracket? I don't know, because look at this. Bills in the AFC, they not looking all that great, even though that they won versus the Buccaneers, the Steelers, they not looking all that great. Then you have the Ravens, who are a game back of the Steelers. So there is still a lot more football left to be played. For the Bears, they are a team, a young up and coming team. So they are still learning how to win. And against those top notch teams, now the one top notch team they played was the Baltimore Ravens. And at the time, everybody was injured for the Baltimore Ravens. But that was one win that they could have had, and that it could have propelled them to a team where, okay, we need to start focusing on the Bears. But since they didn't win that game, we're looking at the Bears as a team as, okay, they are a wild card team at best. They are wild card team. When it comes to, okay, so the next game I'm going to cover is the Green Bay Packers and the New York Giants. Now the the Packers can be had. Jordan Love, 13 of 21, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Also, the rushing attack for the Green Bay Packers cracked over 100 yards. Rushing attack for the Giants cracked over 100 yards. When it comes to the Green Bay Packers, that early season hype is out the window. It's spoiled milk now. We are almost at the end of November. Now we get to the point where the Packers, they are starting to slip a little bit. Everybody knows how to play. Well, everybody already knew how to play Micah Parsons. And everybody already knew how to play the Packers. Now, the Packers offense, they were efficient in the earlier part of the season. They were. But as of right now, they are 6-3-1. Currently, they are the sixth seed if the playoffs were to start today. Now we get to the point where 5 weeks ago, the Packers, they were number 1. And the Eagles were number 2. But uncharacteristic losses have played the Packers. They've lost to Cleveland. They've lost to the Panthers. They tied with the Dallas Cowboys. And now when we get to the point where this is not going to be a team that is going to make it to the playoffs and go far in the playoffs. This is not going to be a team that is going to make it to the playoff. They are going to make it to the playoffs. But as far as going deep into the playoffs, the Packers, I'm still a little iffy on the Packers. I am. And as far as the Giants concerned, we all know that the Giants just get ready for the draft and see what you can do going into next season. But first, you have to get a coach first. The next game I am going to cover is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Flacco, 23 of 40. Inconsistent Joe, as I like to call him, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mason Rudolph, 12 of 16, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, 9 of 15, 116 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Now, I knew the Steelers was going to win this game, but what happened in this game, it wasn't even about football. It was about Jamar Chase spitting in Jalen Ramsey's face mask. Now, he is going to get suspended, but one thing I can say is that football, is a game of trash talk and all of that, but when you spit in somebody's face, that's a sign of disrespect. That's the ultimate sign of disrespect. And You don't even we not even gonna talk about football because this is beyond football. It is about respect and dignity. And once you spit in somebody's face, you're showing that you don't have no respect for them, you don't have no dignity for them, and you don't respect yourself. Because you wouldn't want nobody to do that to you. But you did that to somebody else. But that's all I'm gonna say about that game. Steelers, when it comes to the Steelers, they did what they were supposed to do. Offense was very efficient. Third down, they were 7 of 13. Bengals were 7 of 15. Total yards were about the same. Offensive numbers when it comes to touchdowns, turnovers, Bengals had 2 turnovers, and we're getting to that conversation. Should the Bengals bring Joe Burrow back? No, they shouldn't, because you're 3-7 right now, and you are all the way at the bottom, currently on the outside looking in, and you only have a 1% chance at making the playoffs. If I was Joe Burrow, I would pack it in for the season and get ready for the off season and the start of mini camp and training camp in April. That's what I would get ready for. But right now, the Bengals, like I said, the Bengals when Joe Burrow gets injured, the Bengals season is done because they don't have reliable backup quarterbacks to hold it down. And what I mean by hold it down, mend the ship, keep the season afloat. That's why I say when it comes to the Bengals, their season is pretty much done. If Joe Burrow is injured or their top offensive players are injured, the season is done. The next game I am going to cover is once I get it up here, is the next game I'm going to cover is the Los Angeles Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, one thing, I'm going to tell y'all something. Last time the Jaguars scored 35 points in a game, it don't happen much with the Jaguars. That's why when it comes to the Jaguar fan base and I saw them score 35, I'm like, what? They pretty much just beat down the Chargers. And the Chargers, one of the top teams in the NFL, but they are not anymore. And plus, this was a big game because of playoff seeding. Currently, right now, the Jaguars are in the 7th spot. Hold on, let me get the 7th spot in the AFC playoffs, and the Chargers are currently 6th. Now, if they go on a losing streak and the Jaguars win a couple games, the Jaguars don't just go from the 7th spot, they'll go to the 3rd spot because the Colts right now are 8-2 and the Jaguars are 6-4. So Colts lose 3 games, Jaguars go on a 4-game winning streak. The Jaguars will be the 3rd seed in the playoffs. And what I mean by that, the Jaguars will have home field advantage in the playoffs. So it's a lot of things that are still in motion. You got the Jaguars who could be a road playoff team, but if they go on a winning streak and finish out the season on a winning streak, they could be hosting a playoff game or multiple playoff games because, like I said, there are still 6 weeks left in the season. They are. And dare I say it, could the Jaguars contend for home field advantage throughout the playoffs? Now I know that's a little bit too much. That's a little bit too much right there for the Jaguar fan base. We gotta take baby. I'm like the Jaguars, they got to take baby steps because it seemed like I said, I ain't gonna take too much away from this game, but like I said, I can't sugarcoat this game because the Chargers are one of the top teams in the NFL, and the Jaguars, now credit, Jaguars last game, they had a debacle in Houston. Everybody knows that. But this is the kind of bounce back win that can propel you to a winning streak. Now the Jaguars, who they have the Arizona Cardinals this week, and I'm pretty sure that they are going to be favored in that game. Can the Jaguars please start a winning streak this week? Because I'm going to show y'all the Jaguars' remaining schedule. Because when y'all look at this, I see that the Colts, they are really not, outside of Jonathan Taylor, they are really not a formidable bunch like we all thought. I'm going to show y'all something. So, Jaguars' remaining schedule, they have Arizona, they have Tennessee, they have Indianapolis twice on December 7th and on December 28th. Two big games right there. You have New York. Then you have the Denver Broncos in the Mile High City. Then you finish out the season at home versus Tennessee. Now, Denver, that's gonna be a tough game, no matter what. Because of the high altitude, plus the Denver Broncos have the number one defense in the NFL. Jaguars have a top 10 defense. I'm pretty sure that game is probably going to be a defensive struggle. I don't even see that game exceeding 25 points unless they have a lot of turnovers. Both teams turn the ball over and they start just pretty much offenses just start sputtering. But that is the remaining schedule for the Jaguars. And I could see the Jaguars, their remaining 7 games, I could see the Jaguars winning 4 of their remaining 7 games. Because Tennessee, I could see them sweeping Tennessee. And I could see them getting a win on December 7th versus the Indianapolis Colts. You already got the New York Jets. I'm going to just mark that as a W. So the Jaguars have a very good chance at not just getting to the playoffs, but being a high seed in the playoffs. Who would have thought that 3 weeks ago? After they after they got blown out by the Rams and lost to the Seahawks. But as far as the Chargers, now, like I've always been saying, the Chargers are going to charge it. Now, see, this is where I say that I am not too concerned about the Chargers. And that's why I say I could see the Chiefs easily getting the 6th spot in the playoffs, because the Chargers, I'm going to show y'all the Chargers' remaining schedule. Chargers, they do have to face Kansas City in their remaining schedule. Now, Chargers, they beat Kansas City way back in week 1. Chargers have a bye week this week. Then you have the Raiders, which that's going to be a win. Then you have Philadelphia. That might be a loss. You have the Chiefs on December 14th in Arrowhead. That's going to be a loss. You have Dallas at Dallas. That might be a loss after what I saw last night. Then you have Houston and Denver. So when we get to the Chargers, when you come to the Chargers, when you talk about the Chargers, we still don't know, can the Chargers take that next step? Now, with Jim Harbaugh, his second year, when he leads teams, they always take the next step, meaning going further into the playoffs. Can the Chargers go further into the playoffs this year? It remains to be seen. The next game I am going to cover is the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, 15 of 28, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Sam Darnold, 29 of 24, 29 of 44, 279 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. He is a below average quarterback in those big time moments. Now, one thing I can say about Sam Darnold is we saw this debacle last season, at the end of last season, with the playoff game versus the Rams, and when he played with the Vikings against the Detroit Lions. See, when you get to a point when we talk about Sam Darnold, we have to see Sam Darnold do it on multiple occasions. I mean, come through in the big moments, in the big games. Now, this is a regular season game. This game had big playoff implications when it comes to the playoff seeding and stuff. And you have Sam Darnold who just crumbled like a cookie under pressure. That's what you did. And when we get to the statistics, we see where the Seahawks, they outgained the Rams in everything. But they kicked too many field goals. They kicked one too many field goals. And I always tell y'all, if you score touchdowns, you will win. Field goals can get you beat against good teams. Now, one thing, the Seahawks right now, they are at the fifth spot in the NFC playoffs. So it didn't help out a lot. This game did not help out the Seahawks. So the next game I'm going to cover is the 49ers and the Cardinals. I'm not going to be too much on this game. Brock Purdy, 9 of 26, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing attack was 95 yards. Arizona rushing attack was 36 yards. Jonathan Gannon going into next season, I've already put him on the chopping block going into next season. But as far as the Cardinals, we all know that the Cardinals wasn't going to do anything this year. They're 3-7 49ers. They have a chance. They are 7-4 right now. Here is what they done throughout the game with the Cardinals. And the 49ers are at the 7th spot right currently in the 7th spot when it comes to the playoffs. The next game I am going to cover is the Ravens and the Browns. Now, everybody is saying this. Shedeur Sanders, he did play. He was 4 of 16, 47 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. But one thing that I did not like is Shedeur, he didn't have any reps with the starters. He didn't. Now, with the Browns quarterback situation, it's always been a revolving door. Now, from what I heard yesterday, Shedeur, he's expected to play in the Browns' next game. But now when you look at it, you look at the Ravens, 5-5. They have a chance at making the playoffs. And when we get to the Browns, we know that the Browns are going to Brown, okay? When it gets to the team statistics with this game, team statistics in this game was pretty much, mellow. I mean, it was, the only bright moment was you see Shedeur in there. Shedeur could have tied the game. Well, Shedeur was leading the game tying drive, but it ended up stalling out, and the Ravens won the game. But if I'm the Browns, reports show that The Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, has said that he is he is growing weary and upset when it comes to the decreasing ticket prices. When it comes to that, you should start your door because the cheapest ticket price for the Browns game going into this week is $13. Because everybody wants to see Shador. The fans, they ain't coming to the games. Now, let me tell y'all something. When it comes to Shador starting, well, allegedly, because there is nothing set in stone yet. So when it comes to Shador starting in this game coming up, those ticket prices are going to go from $11 to $189 to $215 and up. Because Shador, he is going to put people in those seats. And that is what the Browns need. They need a player to put people in those seats, and you have it in Shador. You can't go back to Dylan Gabriel, even though Dylan Gabriel got injured. I believe Dylan Gabriel, he is going to be a great backup for somebody. But as far as him being a starting quarterback, I just don't see it. Hopefully he can prove me wrong. Hopefully he can. But as of right now, I just don't see Dylan Gabriel being a starter year in and year out in the NFL. The next game I am going to cover is the Chiefs and Broncos. The Broncos have won against both Super Bowl participants from last season, the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Chiefs are 5-5 right now. They are 1-4 on the road. The Chiefs remaining schedule. I'm gonna tell y'all something. The Chiefs don't put the Chiefs, don't mark the Chiefs, don't mark the Chiefs left for dead just yet. Because y'all look at this schedule. They have Indianapolis this coming Sunday. I believe they'll win that. They have Dallas. Then they have Houston. They have the Chargers. They are at Tennessee. Play the Broncos again on Christmas Day. And then you have the Raiders on the following week after Christmas. So I believe the Chiefs, dare I say it, the Chiefs can win out. Cause the schedule, it ain't looking tough. It's really not. Cause the Denver Broncos, it's been a minute since the Denver Broncos won in Kansas City. So that's why I'm saying the Chiefs, they could pretty much win out and be 11-5 and make it to the playoffs. So don't mark off the Chiefs just yet. Cause once y'all mark off the Chiefs, that's when the Chiefs, they start rolling. And as far as the Broncos, did I expect the Broncos to start off the season 9-2? No, nobody thought the Broncos would start off the season 9-2, let alone be the top team in the AFC. Now, when it comes to the Broncos, both them and the Patriots are tied for a best record in football. So, Broncos and Patriots, if it could be the AFC Championship game right now, Broncos and Patriots, I would go with the Broncos just because Broncos would have home field advantage and they would have the number one defense. But there's still a lot of football left to be played between now and championship weekend. It would be. But that would be nice if it was two young quarterbacks, Bo Nix and Drake May, two second-year players. So that is the matchup. That is the potential matchup for the AFC Championship. But do not mark off the Chiefs just yet. I still believe in the Chiefs, and in years past, we've all marked off the Chiefs. And what have the Chiefs done? They have rattled off a winning streak, and next thing you know, they are in the championship game or deep in the playoffs. The next game I'm going to cover is the Detroit Sunday Night Football, the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, 14 and 28, 135 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jared Goff, 14 and 37, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interceptions. The interior defense for the Eagles had control of this game. They stopped the Detroit Lions in their tracks. Third down efficiency for the Detroit Lions, they were 3 of 13. Fourth down efficiency, 0 and 5. One thing about the Detroit Lions, we all know that they got a good offense. We all know that. Defensively, they got a good offense. And one thing about the Eagles, when it comes to the Eagles offense, still pedestrian. Eagles defense, great. They hanging their head on defense. As of right now, the Eagles are the top team in the NFC, and the Detroit Lions are 8th right now. So if the playoffs start today, the Lions would not be in the playoffs. The Chiefs would not be in the playoffs. The Ravens would not be in the playoffs. Basically, all of the playoff matriarch teams that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the past 5 years, they would not be in the playoffs. So the tide is changing in the NFL. We have never had so many teams, all of these teams, 7 teams from the AFC and 7 teams from the NFC. We have never had it so close-knit and tightly contested. The 7 teams in the AFC, they separate. Only thing that separates them is 2.5 games. Only thing that separates, only thing that separates the Jaguars from the Broncos is 2.5 games. So what I'm saying is the Jaguars could easily be the top team in the AFC. But y'all got to look at this. Jaguars and Broncos play December 15th. And that is going to be a big game. Also, the Colts and the Jaguars, they play December 7th and December 28th. So you're looking at teams 3 and 7 right now, which is the Colts and the Jaguars. And you also looking at teams 1 and 7. They have to play each other in the AFC. So that is a lot of movement is going to be happening within the next 5 to 6 weeks. Now, the next game, this is the last game that I'm going to cover. It is the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know for the last 12 hours, everybody been saying that the Cowboys just played the Raiders, okay? 4-5 and 1 right now. The Cowboys defensively, I like what I saw, even though it was against the Raiders. The Cowboys defense looked much better than it did early in the season. You got 3 sack specialists out there. You got 3 cornerbacks out there that can intercept the ball. And you got a defense that can get some sacks. And it won't be the quarterback just won't be back there for 5, 6, 7 seconds just patting the ball down and just looking. Dak Prescott, 25 of 33, 268 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The running game cracked over 400 yards. I'm going to show y'all the remaining schedule for the Cowboys. Now, I ain't going to get too much ahead of myself. We got the Philadelphia Eagles coming up this coming Sunday. Now, we almost won versus the Eagles in week 1. But when you get to the remaining part of the schedule, you get to Philadelphia, you get to Kansas City. Kansas City, I believe that they can be had. Detroit, at Detroit, now that's going to be a tough game. Then you have Minnesota, Los Angeles Chargers, you have the Washington Commanders, and then you have the New York Giants. I'm not going to say anything, but I can see the Cowboys somehow sneaking into the playoffs. There is a lot of playoff movement right now. First off, we got the Lions, we got the Panthers, and we got the Cowboys. The Cowboys, the margin for error for the Cowboys is so small. It is. This is pretty much, Cowboys, they in playoff mode right now. Cowboys are in playoff mode. You cannot lose another game. In order to get to the playoffs, you got to win out. Detroit, gonna be tough. Kansas City, gonna be tough. The Eagles, I'm not too uneasy about the Eagles because the Eagles' rushing offense hasn't been all that great this season, but it's easier said than done. The Cowboys, they still have to dominate when it comes to playing the Eagles. Now, and as I can say, it was a wonderful, and I do mean it was a wonderful, entertaining week 11. The teams that we had on bye weeks this week, the Colts and the Saints. And as of that, those are my reactions to week 11 of the 2025 NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Keytime Sports right here on YouTube. Key City Sports on Instagram. And the Key on millions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my profile. And remember, everybody, the key is always on time.